White, and I'm with Denovo Realty, and I'm here with Stephanie Anderson, also of Denovo Realty. And Stephanie and I have been really good friends and realtors here on the Space Coast for about 9 years, and we work with a lot of buyers. And the first thing that they want to know is about home inspections. So Stephanie and I are going to talk to you today about home inspections. So Stephanie, I know that when we have a buyer, one of the main topics is, tell me about the home inspection. What happens during that process? So I thought you and I could kind of go through that and talk about really what happens after we go under contract and we are ready to have the home inspected.
Yeah. So one thing a lot of people don't realize is once they've made that offer, there is that buffer zone of time in there where they have a chance to really inspect the property, to find out, what the bones are about, right? It may look beautiful on the surface, but it gives them a chance to be able to kind of dig in and see what's going on. So we always recommend hiring a professional home inspector.
Well, do you think everyone needs a home inspection?
Oh, absolutely. I just had the cutest little house go under contract. The buyers were skeptical. I convinced them it's the thing you have to do, really. We found so many things. Like a brand new water heater did not work.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so even in the new builds, we want to have a home inspection.
That was my next question. I know that we work a lot with, you and I work with VR Builders, we work with D.R. Horton, we work with a lot of builders, and all my clients were like, oh, well, it's brand new. Should we get a home inspection? And I'm like, absolutely, because we always find something. There's no perfect house because we're people that are building these homes.
Exactly.
So there's always an issue. So I totally 100% recommend that people, even with a new build, get a home inspection because it's just one of those things where you're going to find something, and that's okay. That's okay if you find something.
Right, yeah. I mean, because that's just part of the process. And here's what people, are asking me. It's, do I pay for it? Who pays for it? So who pays for the home inspection?
The buyer pays for the home inspection. So, and there's different pricings for home inspections. And generally we use the same company, really. I recommend a particular company here in town just because they're very, very thorough. It's who I use for when I buy my own property, when I buy my investment properties. I tell people you can use any inspection company that you want. There's some great ones out in the county. Yeah. But I do have a few that I recommend just because I know they're going to find something, because you and I know when we're out there representing that buyer, we want them to find what's going on so we can figure it out.
We want our buyers to know what they're buying.
Exactly.
And if they find problems and the sellers, won't address them, the buyer may still choose to move forward, but it's more about knowing what you're buying.
Right. And what are the average costs that we've seen lately for home inspections, not with the added things for other inspections, not with pools and stuff like that, but what is your average that you've been seeing lately in the county?
About $400. But then, as you know, we still must get the 4-point inspection if the home is about 15 or 20 years old or older. And everybody needs the wind mitigation if you're going to have homeowners insurance.
For insurance.
So there are a few add-ons that we have to have. But then there are some other add-ons that can be elective. And what are those?
Right. I see a lot of people when they're asking about these add-ons. Typically, if I have someone buying a pool home or something like that, it's going to run probably $600 or more for a home inspection because you want to get the pool pump inspected, things like that. A lot of people are very concerned in Florida about mold, so you can add that on to inspection. You can get a mold inspection done on your house. You can also, if you're out in the country or if you're out in a place that is not on city water, you're going to have septic, so you want to get that inspected. So that's going to add a little bit of a cost on there as well. And what is that time that we're seeing now on the contract? About how much time do you usually typically see now for a home inspection period on the contract?
It's generally running from about 7 to 10 days. Back last summer, it was much shorter. But now that's what I'm seeing on contracts. Are you seeing about the same?
Yeah, I'm seeing about, we typically, we wrote a few contracts last week and we put a 7-day inspection period on there just to give them enough time. And I know back this summer, and I know you were experiencing this because you and I had a ton of buyers and sellers actually at that time, but they were getting like 3-day, 4-day home inspections just trying to compete.
Exactly. And we were having trouble getting the inspectors in there because they were so busy.
Yeah.
But now everything's leveled out. So a 7-day period is a pretty good amount of time to give people a chance. Not only can they get their home inspection done, they can also start getting insurance quotes during that home inspection time period.
Right.
And looking into other details about the home. So it's a nice kind of buffer zone of time to give people time to kind of settle in and get to know the fact, like, I'm about to buy this house.
Right.
How do I feel about that?
Yeah, and I know you and I both, when we walk through with a buyer, it's really important that we know that the home inspection team, like we talked about earlier, is actually going to point out some things that are wrong with the house.
Yeah.
And there's a lot. When I first started in the industry, I worked with a fantastic gentleman who really taught me in the beginning what is the difference between a mountain and a molehill.
Yes.
It's a huge thing in the inspection, because some people go into this thinking that, oh, there's not going to be any problems, and there are a lot of cosmetic issues, which are really not that important. Right. You want to look for the big things. So what are some things that really you find when you're out, like when we're out showing property, that alert you or flag to you that, hey, we really need to dive a little bit deeper into this?
Well, typically big ticket items. At the heating and air system, water heater, like I mentioned earlier, the roof. And even if it's a brand new roof, I had an experience recently. The roof was brand new, like 1 month old, but it had been done improperly. So big ticket items, like you said, there's holes in screens or a leaky faucet and things like this. And you just have to let that go, because no house is going to be perfect, and no home seller is going to make a home perfect for that buyer. So we're just really looking at major flaws, maybe something to do with the foundation.
Right. Yeah, and I think it's hard sometimes when you're going into a property and as a buyer, and you think you might have 60 pages of a home inspection, and you freak out a little bit. You look at all of this, and I'm like, that's where, and I know you do the same thing because you work very much like David and Mike and Ryan, our whole team, is we really sit down then and go over that and say, okay, this is really important. We really need to address this. And this is something you really can do after you close on the home, because it's not really affecting it in any way. It's more of a cosmetic issue.
Yes, it's like a honey-do list.
Right.
And that's what I try to kind of prep my buyers, that when we're going into that home inspection, it's like we're not trying to find the honey-do list.
Right.
We're trying to find any major issues that we're not aware of as we just walk through the property and look.
Right.
So
the home inspection is huge and really, really important. So I think it's something like that we talked about before. And we have to also, when we're representing the seller, we also want to take them aside and say, they're going to find something in your house. You might be meticulous about how you live and you've maintained everything, but there's going to be something that comes up on that list. And I think the neat thing about you and I, and we've worked many deals and many contracts together, is we're able to come together and figure out what that is on the inspection report, work with the buyer and the seller so everybody is happy and we get the deal done and everybody's happy on the buying side and the selling side. So don't be scared of the inspection. That's what I tell people. It's okay.
And if a seller is super concerned about what might show up, it's always great to have a pre-inspection done. Have an inspector come through, look at things on the property, and then have those items addressed before the buyer's ever involved.
Yeah, you can have some small things that come up and you say, well, we'll just go ahead and take care of that, and get that done. So that's an option too. So I think it's good to give people the information on the home inspection and just let them know that it's okay. You definitely want one. Your realtors, if they're good realtors, they want you to have that home inspection, and it's something that is needed, and we always do that. It's just something that we do, and we have a whole list, like you do, of home inspectors out there that can help and get you through the process. So thanks for talking about that with me today.
It was great being here. Thank you.